So more on that. Bowser posted a statement on X calling her meeting with Donald Trump a great meeting. She went on to write, in part, quote, "President Trump and I both want Washington, D.C. to be the best, most beautiful city in the world, and we want the capital city to reflect the strength of our nation." Bowser adding, "I am optimistic that we will continue to find common ground with the president during his second term, and we look forward to supporting a successful inauguration on January 20th. Let's welcome in now our political panel to discuss, Republican strategist and VetCom CEO Kate Monroe, along with Democratic strategist Lee Neves. Thanks for being here. Lee, let's start with you. Do you find that, what do you make of the meeting between Muriel Bowser, a Democrat here in Washington, D.C., and Donald Trump down in Mar-a-Lago?
First of all, I would like to say I am shocked I did not receive an invite to that party. I'm sure it's lost in the mail somewhere. Maybe it'll arrive today. I'll catch a red eye over to catch the party late. I mean, look, you know, D.C. is the seat of our government, and whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, you should want the seat of our government where we bring foreign leaders, where the eyes of the world are upon us. You should want to have an effective, clean, crime-free, safe city for the residents of the seat of our government. There's a reason D.C. is not a state. There's a reason it is just D.C. It is, you know, it is where business is taken care of, business is done. And the state of D.C. really, I think, worldwide reflects on the state of America. So Republican, Democrat, I think anyone in office as president should want to work with the mayor of D.C. and vice versa. Mayor of D.C. should want to work with any president, Republican or Democrat, to create the best D.C. we can have.
Yeah, and I would say this, Kate, because I'm always leery of talking about, you know, this is just kind of a D.C. story. But what if they're able to fix some of the problems in D.C.? Maybe that could be a blueprint for other cities throughout the country that are having the same kinds of problems that we're seeing right here, because this is not new. We've had these problems for a while.
Well, I live in one of these blue states here in California, so I, in my heart, would love to see more states do what D.C. is trying to do. You have these mayors going, hey, you know what? Maybe it's time to pivot. Maybe it's time to lean into what the American public really wants. I mean, I was just in D.C. I go very often, and there's a ton of crime, lawlessness, drugs. It's just an insidious city in so many ways, just like we have here in LA and in San Francisco, you have up in Portland, you have in Chicago. I would love to see more governors, more mayors, more Congress people lean in and do what's right for the American people.
Lee, speaking of staying on this topic of Washington, D.C. and the inauguration on January 20th, in 2016, there were a bunch of protests organized by Democratic leaders ahead of the inauguration. I was here that day. There was rioting in Washington, D.C. People were setting things on fire. The day following Donald Trump's inauguration, there was a women's march where they all had these ridiculous hats on, if you could recall, and they left the city in a major, major mess. This year feels different. 2020 feels different. Are Democrats more accepting of Donald Trump's victory come 2025 than they were in 2016?
Well, first off, you know, Democrats, unlike a lot of Republicans in 2020, have accepted the results of the election and done so without much complaining. Sorry, I had to get that dig in there. That being said, I think right now Democrats are very preoccupied with righting their own ship, with knowing that there are midterms coming up in 2026, that there is another presidential election coming up in 2028. And as I have said on this network many times, belly aching about the past is not going to get anything done. Looking towards the future, seeing what did we do wrong in 2024, how do we have to course correct for 2026 and 2028, that is going to be a lot more productive than moaning and complaining on Inauguration Day over what is you know, a very valid transfer of power.
Well, we know that on January 20th, it'll be the biggest crowd we've ever seen, ever.
Bob
sorry.
had to get his dig in. Lee got his in. No.
I did that for Lee. I knew Lee would enjoy that.
It's good for the gander.
but let me give Kate a chance here to talk about what you would like to see in the first 100 days. Because, look, I think a lot of people say Trump won. Americans, it's a decisive victory, and he has the right to implement his agenda to the extent that it's followed through by other Republicans on Capitol Hill. What do you think are the most important things in the first 100 days, Kate?
Well, as a person who serves the veteran community, I would like us to fix some problems that we have with the VA. I think Doug Collins will do a great job there. Fixing veteran homelessness and all homelessness, closing the border, eradicating this open border, getting out all of the bad players that got into our country, and lastly, to bring peace to the globe. Under this last administration, like it or not, they did leave a lot of room for these countries who don't like us and who don't play nice with other countries to have their way in the last 4 years. So those three things, shoring up our position with veterans, fixing our border crisis, and bringing peace to the globe, I think are three pretty lofty goals. But I think if anybody can do it, it's President Trump.
Well, Kate, have a very happy New Year's Eve. Lee, you too. Happy New Year's and happy New Year's Eve. And thank you both for joining us this afternoon.